All right. Thank you all again for joining us with the International Association of Woodcarvers. This page has been made for carvers, by carvers. We thank everybody for taking time out of your day today to join us. Today we have a special guest, Kaylee Schofield from Woodcarving Illustrated magazine, and hopefully, Kaylee, I didn't destroy your name.
No, you got it.
She is from Pennsylvania. Woodcarving Illustrated magazine started in 1997, if I think my research stands me correctly. Yep. You're part of the Fox Chapel Publishing Group. Mm-hmm. And Kaylee's going to discuss with us today the magazine, how to create articles and get articles published in the magazine, maybe talk a little bit about books and answer questions. Before you start, Kaylee, I just wanted to say, coming up in the next weeks, we've got Dale Kirkpatrick that's going to be doing spools and discussing carving spools. And then we also have Gene Messer the following week that's going to come on and talk about his videos on YouTube. He'll talk about carving videos and flat plane carving. So make sure you tune in the next 2 weeks. Awesome. I also want to say thank you to Larry Green, Tom Bate, and Sarah Bearclaw for assisting with hosting this Zoom meeting today. And Kaylee, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you guys for inviting me. This is lovely. And I think it's just great what you're doing, providing resources to carvers around the world. So keep up the awesome work, first of all. So I do have my notes. So if I'm looking down, that's why. Yeah, so Woodcarving Illustrated, you are correct. We've been the premier woodcarving magazine in the US since 1997. Our first issue was the holiday issue in 1997. We're distributed internationally, and we have subscribers all around the world, from Turkey to Australia to the US. And we publish a diverse array of content, step articles, pattern profiles. We publish relief carving, chip carving, flat plane, whittling, all sorts of carving, everything you can think of, as well as features and product reviews, tool guides, all sorts of wood carving related content, and newsletters through email between issues. Our goal at the magazine is to celebrate carving in all its forms and offer carvers resources and projects that challenge them, inspire them, and expand their appreciation for the diverse world that is the carving community. We believe that intentionally giving a voice to artists of all backgrounds and walks of life makes us stronger as a group. And we're always welcoming new faces into our contributor community. So a lot of people have asked the question, how can I submit my work to the magazine if I'm a carver? So the easiest way is to actually just send me an email. You can send an email to our official email address, which is editors@woodcarvingillustrated.com. And then my email is just my last name at foxchapelpublishing.com. So Schofield, that's SCHOFIELD at foxchapelpublishing.com. And I try to answer promptly within a few business days. I read every email I receive, and I take all correspondence seriously. So in the body of the email, it can be pretty brief, but we would like for article proposals to at least include a couple paragraphs about the piece itself and about you as an artist. So just give us some information about you, how long you've been carving, what your inspiration is, what your favorite style is, and then some information about the piece that you'd like us to consider. So piece or pieces for that matter. You can include dimensions if you use an interesting finish, any information about the piece. It does have to be original work to be considered for an article in the magazine. So we ask that you include information about that, include information about yourself, and then a couple photos, usually 2 to 4 photos, well lit, with even lighting and a non-distracting background, just photos that really showcase the piece that you'd like us to consider to the best of your ability. Any other information that you can include is if you have a website, if you're present on social media, you can direct us to where we can locate more of your content. We always like to check that out. So those are really the key things if you like your work to be considered. So I do just want to go back real quick to the original work. We try to be pretty careful about copyright. So designs do have to be original to be considered for an actual article. We do have departments like reader gallery and letters at the beginning of each issue where we showcase different work that that carvers are doing. Maybe you've read an article in the magazine and you've kind of put your own spin on it. We love to see that too. So in that case, in those cases, you can just send pictures of whatever you're working on. Basically, we love to see whatever you're working on. So yeah, those are pretty much the key things that an article proposal would have to include. And if we have more information that we need, we'll always reach out and ask. Another question that we receive pretty often is what content are we looking for right now? Because we're always working a few months ahead with the magazine schedule, we're actually working on our fall and winter issues right now. We're looking for content related to all seasons, but specifically right now, spring and summer of next year. Usually when we accept an article, we give the artist a couple months to gather the content needed, and then we'll coach them through the process if they need that. So looking for specifically spring and summer content. We're especially looking for whittling projects right now. So simple beginner projects that can be carved with one knife. We're also looking for caricatures, flat plane style animals, and classic reliefs, but we love to see all manner of carving that people are working on. We also love to hear from you on maybe there's an interesting tool that you have discovered that you think we should know about and review. Absolutely send us information about that. We love to check out new products for possible reviews. And also if there's an artist that you think we should know about that we haven't featured yet, we would love to hear about them. Another thing that we publish that is pretty consistent for every issue is in our news and notes section, we'll publish show reports and news blurbs related to carving clubs. So definitely send that information our way. We love to include not just reports after shows, but advertisements prior to shows that are coming up. And just cool things that are happening in the carving community. If there's I don't know, if you were traveling and you stopped somewhere in the woods and you found a cool person who's making beautiful things that we should know about, or maybe there's an event happening that is kind of obscure, we would love to hear about that too. So anything cool that's happening in the carving community that we should know about. Another question that we often get is, why are some pieces declined? So we do receive quite a few submissions every week. So this can happen for a number of reasons. All potential acquisitions pass through multiple levels of approval before they become viable articles. And we receive quite a few submissions. So sometimes it has to do with the carving or the finishing method. Sometimes that needs some work. Sometimes it's the actual subject matter. So sometimes the design is inappropriate for our audience and our vibe. Anything violent or marginalizing or demeaning to a particular group will probably not be accepted. So like that said, we totally celebrate your right to carve a bloated corpse that was killed in a very specific way, but that probably won't be accepted as a project. Sometimes it has to do with things that we already have on the docket. So if we have 5 reindeer projects that we've accepted and those have yet to be published, then we try to keep that in mind just to keep a balance between the different projects that we publish. So every issue we try to think of as like a dinner party, and the dinner party has a diverse array of guests. We want to represent all kinds of carving, so we try to include at least one chip carving project per issue. at least one whittling project or a simple carver, like a beginner carving project per issue, relief carving or power carving, realistic carving in general. So we do try to maintain that balance, and that is also taken into account when we're accepting articles and potential content for future issues. So
Kaylee, can I
yeah,
ask
bottom
a
line.
question?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
On the, where if someone were to submit a project and it gets, you know, rejected, would you want them, like if, let's say it just needed to be changed or it wasn't quite right,
Yeah.
would you offer suggestions and say submit it again, or not? Like, you don't really want them submitted again if they get rejected? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, if there are just small tweaks that we feel need to be made to the project, then we will communicate that and say absolutely resubmit. We try to be really, if someone asks what changes they could make to a project in order to have it considered again, then we'll be very straightforward with them. And that does happen quite frequently. So yeah, absolutely. If we feel that there are just small tweaks that need to be made, we'll give coaching, and then people can absolutely resubmit as many times as they want. Yeah. So yeah, the bottom line is we love hearing from readers and seeing what you're working on and what is inspiring you. Oftentimes that correspondence does make its way into the different departments at the front of the magazine. And if you try one of the projects in our pages and tweak the design in a fun way, that makes our day. So never be afraid to reach out with questions or ideas. We love hearing from the carving community. Does anyone have any questions?
I'll ask another question.
Okay.
What types of things make a carving really stick out, or something like what is it that you guys look for when you're looking at different projects? Do you have, you know, things that stick out more than others, or, you know, is there anything that you guys are looking for that really captures you? Like, what are some of the things that people do that really grab you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, generally, I think a successful project will pull from the knowledge that exists in the carving community. So giving a nod to the styles that are well established, while also saying, okay, I have learned from this person, I've learned from this person, and I have steeped myself in this information, and the knowledge that other carvers have given me. And then I have gone that extra step and put my own spin on it. And I'm really making it my own, and clearly taking joy in what I'm doing. That's kind of a vague answer, but I don't know if that helps. I think, yeah, I think it's sort of a two-part thing. First, steeping yourself in carving knowledge, and then going that extra step and making the style your own.
So are there projects you don't want to see more of? Like, you get inundated with this, you know, so maybe stay away from this and try to go a different route? You know, like, is there an overload of one particular thing that, I don't know if that even makes sense, just like everybody keeps submitting one thing, or do you get a pretty good array of subject matter?
We actually do get a pretty good array of subject matter, yeah. I would say, because I wouldn't say there's any one thing that we don't want to see. We do get quite a few like Santa related submissions, but they're all different from each other. So I wouldn't say that there are any subjects in that realm to stay away from. I mean, you know, cowboys are popular, Santas are popular, different caricature animals are popular, but there are so many ways to portray them that I wouldn't say stay away from any one thing.
Kaylee, if Chanticleer makes it all the way to publish, I mean, you saw that carving on Instagram. Chanticleer the rooster.
Yes, yeah.
So you all do look at Instagram.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We look everywhere for acquisitions. Oftentimes people will reach out to us with ideas, but I would say about 50% of the things that we publish come from our own mining different resources that exist. So I'm part of several groups on Facebook, different whittling, and then we also have a sister publication, Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts Magazine. So I'm part of different intarsia groups as well, scroll saw related groups, and I'm always looking in there to see what people are doing and talking about. And then oftentimes we have weekly meetings as a team, so we'll bring that to the table and say, okay, here are some patterns that we're seeing, and how can we address them? So yeah, we look on Instagram, we look on Etsy. Honestly, we found some content on Reddit, Facebook, all sorts of places, and then obviously we go to shows as well. When we were able to go to shows, we would look there as well, and that is a lovely resource as well, because you get that face-to-face contact.
Kaylee, going back to submitting something and being approved or not approved, if if say like you submit something and you don't hear from anybody, what should somebody do? Should they email you again? Like, I know you guys are all busy, but I don't want to bug you. You know what I mean? Like, what would somebody do?
First of all, it doesn't bother us at all. And I like to hear from people. If you don't hear back in a couple weeks, then absolutely reach back out. Yeah, and most of the time we will respond within a couple business days. But yeah, if you don't hear anything, it's possible the email went into one of our spam folders or something. So yeah, definitely reach back out. It's never a bother. It brings us great joy to hear from people.
And would you be responding either good or bad to say, like, sorry, your carving didn't make it? Or
in most situations, it does take a few weeks for us to have a verdict, just because we do have a couple stages of approval that happen. So we will first discuss something as a team, and if the team agrees that this is something we want to move forward with, then we will then bring it in front of an acquisitions committee. So oftentimes it does take a couple weeks to do that, because we have regular meetings, but they don't happen all the time. So yeah, we do respond. We do get back with a verdict within ideally a couple weeks, either a yes or a no, because we don't like to leave people hanging.
great. Is there anybody out there that has any questions?
Hi, Kaylee. I was wondering, do you ever consider like an end of year compendium? An idea would be like all the articles that never made it into the magazine through the year, and then do like a December issue of here's everything this year that was submitted and is good enough, but we just couldn't get it into anything this year.
So oftentimes we do. So I want to make sure I'm answering your question. Do you mind if clarifying?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking, let's say you got lots of submissions throughout the year and you've published all the articles that you wanted, and then at the end of the year you look for everything that was submitted, and let's say you got 100 pictures and they're like, well, these are really good. Well, I really wish I could have put this in one of the magazines. Would you consider doing a end of year 2020 special edition with like, these are all the pictures and articles that were submitted that didn't really fit into anything that we asked for, but we want everyone to see?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So because we are quarterly, we are restricted to that quarterly format. And when we plan special issues, we plan them at least a year in advance. So we're talking in the next few months about what next year's special issues are going to be. But if we find, oftentimes we do run into the happy problem of having to make choices about what goes into a particular issue, and we often have more pages than we're able to publish at that time. So the idea is we'll always publish the things that have been accepted. We do offer usually a tentative date when something is accepted, and we'll say, okay, we're planning this for our fall 2021 issue. Things might change, but if we run out of space, we do commit to publishing the article, but we can't always say when. So it's really more a matter of finding what issue is the perfect issue to publish a particular project in, if that makes sense. Does anyone have any other questions at this time?
So
I'm over here in the UK, and we don't get woodcarving illustrated easily. Obviously, you got to pay the extra to get international. Is there any looks at getting like a digital editions or anything like that, just to save a bit of money, or anything to over here? Because over here in the UK, there isn't a lot of this style carving. It's all very much sort of more what I'd class as carpentry. So obviously, I'm really interested in the magazine. And the more I do, the more I might be interested in submitting as well. But is there any look at getting that more accessible to other countries?
Yeah, so we do receive that question quite a lot, about the digital subscription, and it is something that we're seriously considering just because of the volume of requests that we receive. Absolutely. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I know it's a bit off the subject there, but I just wondered.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's a good question. And just out of curiosity, what kind of carving is your favorite?
So it's more the between sort of quick whittling sort of things, being able to just pick up a stick and carve something, and to little characters and things. I started with Doug Linker, like a lot of people did, and just built up a little bit from there. But like I said, over here, the closest you can get to that is bird carving, so or spoons, and you just don't see a lot of it. And so I just wasn't into that sort of thing, and so that's why getting more inspiration. All I can really find is what's on the internet right now, and finding a little bit more with regular magazine would be really really helpful. And that's why this group has been such a huge help as well, to be able to talk to people who do know what they're talking about, who are all over the world. And knowing that I'm not alone in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kaylee, is any given issue limited to a number of pages? In other words, is it like 96 pages is the limit of a magazine, or what is that?
Yep. Yeah. For Woodcarving Illustrated, we are restricted to the 96 pages of copy.
It is 96. Oh, I should play the lottery. That was a good guess.
That was a guess? That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
No, we actually have usually a week before an issue closes, we gather all the projects that we have prepared for that issue, and we have like a little Tetris game. And we arrange all the layouts on the floor, and just to see what works out, who works out best next to who, that kind of thing. And at that point, we choose what's going to fit in the 96 pages and what's not going to. But yeah, that was a good guess.
Yeah, thank you.
Kaylee, as for submitting, you talked about taking pictures and having non-distracting backgrounds. Is there a background that works best, like plain white, or something that you could suggest somebody takes their pictures in front of?
Yeah. I would say, something as simple as a white sheet, like a tablecloth. usually we try to deter people from using bright colors like bright blue, just because we really want the project to be shown to the best advantage, and we want to be able to see all the carved facets, and we want to see all the little details. So yeah, even lighting, a black or white background, and no props or anything like that. We want to see the piece itself. Yeah, and in terms of photo quality, we do generally ask for like roughly 300 DPI, pixels per inch, for photos. So if that is helpful to anyone.
And I assume if the photo quality wasn't good enough, but you liked the project, you'd ask for them to redo the photos or something like that?
Yeah. If something seems a little grainy and like I'm not sure about certain details, and I want to just get a little bit more detail, then I'll certainly reach back out and ask for more photos. Mm-hmm.
Is there ever a time where you guys asked to have the carvings sent to you so you guys can do like professional photos, or?
Yeah, so for almost every project, and there are some exceptions obviously because we have contributors from all over the world and sometimes shipping gets pretty insane. But for almost every project that we accept, we take the artistic lead photos in-house. We have a photo studio on our first level, and we schedule usually per issue an entire day for artistic leads to be shot. And we often make the props ourselves or we acquire them. I've been known to stay up late the night before baking if we have like a food related carving. But yeah, so we do almost always photograph the projects in-house. For the step photos, it's very rare that we will have them shot in-house just because that requires the carver to usually travel long distances and set aside a bit of time. But we have done that on occasion as well, where the photographer will come in and a carver will come in and carve along, and we'll chat and we'll have a great time, and we'll capture the entire carving process from beginning to end. But that's a very rare occurrence.
What are some of the ones that have had that? Do you know, just off the top of your head?
So, for example, the project that was on the cover of our 2018 winter issue, the Wayne Shinlever Santa, he came in and he carved that in our photo studio.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bob Hershey, who was in our fall 2019 issue, he did the lovely grinning. He did the bunnies, but he did the grinning beaver that was on the cover of our fall 2019 issue. He came in and carved that as well, because he's local. So yeah, that was fun. He's cool. A delightful person, really funny.
You can't hide from Bob.
What did you say?
I said you can't hide from Bob. He's too cool.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Okay, do you find that you're generally looking for pieces that can be finished in like one session? Slightly less complex pieces that are easy to digest for the readers.
What do you mean one session?
So like a carving that a reader could, pick up the issue and then sit down and then carve in one sitting, rather than taking multiple hours actually making it.
So we publish all sorts of articles. We publish very simple, 5-step beginner carving projects that can be done in 20 minutes. But we also publish like much more complex articles that are upwards of 30 steps that might take a weekend. So we try to offer in every issue projects that are going to appeal to people who've just started carving, but also projects that appeal to people who have been carving for their whole lives. So it really varies. And then sometimes if we feel like a project is pretty extensive, but still justifies the space, we'll cut it into pieces and do a series. So in our one of the recent projects that we did this with was a mythical woodland cottage by Betty Padden, who's based up in Massachusetts, and she has a really unique painting style, and it was a super complex project that we wanted people to know about, but we had to split it into two different issues just because it was so expansive.
Cool.
Do you have the international submissions send you their carvings as well?
Sometimes, yeah. If it's a massive plaque, then no. But if it's a smaller piece, then we do ask that they send those to us. And sometimes we work it out that they just photograph it in their home, and that works out too. We try to be flexible, especially right now with the pandemic. It makes things a little bit more complicated.
Makes sense.
What? How long have you been at the magazine for? Did you say that?
Me?
Yeah. How long have you been working for the magazine?
I've been with the magazine for 2.5 years. I started as an editorial assistant, and I became managing editor about 6 months ago.
And in that time, what is one of your favorite projects that you've worked on or seen, I guess, through the magazine?
So we had a lot of fun with Mitch Cartledge had done a caricature mummy for our 2019 fall issue, and we had a lot of fun with that project. We thought it was just really gloriously rendered with a lot of joy and humor. So that's definitely been one of my personal favorites. We love. I mean, there are so many projects that bring us joy. I would say Sarah Barraclough. Is it Barraclough or Barraclough? Clough. Okay, yeah. I was wrong both times. We loved your penguin project. They were just charming, and it's readers really responded to that and made it their own as well. But I also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, do you guys carve the things that come in? Like, do you try to do the projects?
So we all do carve on some level. Our art director prefers power carving. That's his thing. But I am definitely an amateur, very much an amateur, but I do carve. Most recently, I carved a stylized pelican that Don Swartz had developed for our. It was our summer 2018 issue. It's just it's a 2-hour pelican. Of course, it took me much longer than 2 hours. 2 hours, but yeah. So I do carve in my free time. I have a scroll saw in our spare room, and our spare room is littered with all manner of power tools, and my husband is very patient, so
that's important.
But yeah, we all carve. And then our editorial assistant Hannah, who is wonderful, she started a couple months ago, and she carves as well.
Is she the gal with the dark glass? Like, she has the black rim glasses? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yep. Yeah, she has awesome glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we also have a workshop as well. We have a fully stocked workshop that we're still unloading from our move a few months ago. But we do spend quite a bit of time in the workshop. If a project doesn't, if we need to test something out a little bit more in depth, then we'll go down there and we'll spend some time just trying to figure it out together. which is really helpful. We think we believe it makes us better editors to have that hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Does Bob Duncan still work at the magazine?
No, he moved on to pursue a different adventure, but we still do correspond pretty regularly.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is the process the same for the magazines as it is for like the books? Like I think Sarah just did a book with her, was it winter stuff? I think Sarah.
Winter stuff.
Was it
Oh,
booklet?
the booklet?
Oh, maybe it was a booklet. Do you guys do hardcover books as well with projects and stuff?
So our team doesn't work directly with the books most of the time. The acquisitions process is a little bit different. I don't generally work with the books, so I can't speak as closely to that. But I do know that their acquisitions process is somewhat different. Because the magazine team, we're acquiring article content all the time, whereas with a book, it's a little bit more, the process is a little bit more drawn out. But I believe I believe it's, if you are looking to have your work considered for a book, I believe it's acquisitions@foxchapelpublishing.com. I think that's the email address. So they generally ask that potential book related questions be sent to that email address.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else who has questions for Kaylee?
Yeah, Kaylee, what's your current project that you're working on for carving? For fun? Yes.
So it's very simple, but I have Tom Hines just recently came out with a whittling book just a couple months ago, and I've been usually on weekends in between like weeding the garden and things like that. I will try to learn how to carve one of the little flat plane style animals. So this weekend, my animal is the whale. Yeah. So I've carved one whale so far. It is, yeah. Tom is great. I've met him several times at different shows, and he's just a lovely person, very welcoming, and truly embodies that everyone can carve spirit and is always willing to share his knowledge. So, yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Anything at all?
Even though the magazine's called Woodcarving Illustrated, are you open to other mediums like golf balls?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have a golf ball project coming up in our fall issue. We just published one in our summer issue as well.
Are you still
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go, Kaylee.
So we had a fellow carve PVC before. Soapstone. We do not just wood carving projects, but that obviously it is mostly wood carving. But you can certainly submit other carving projects too. I know my brother carves coconut shells, so there are other things that you can definitely submit and carve.
Are you going to continue the Whittling Wednesdays, or is that?
That ended last week.
Oh.
Yeah, so we continued that for about 3 months. But if there was any one of those projects that stuck out to people, then we'd love to hear about it. So we can publish more content in that direction.
Do you think that they'll do it again, or was that just a short stint of time?
So it's certainly possible. That we felt like that project, that series had run its course, at least for the moment. But there's certainly a likelihood that something like that will happen again.
That was really fun. I enjoyed those.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, and your ladybug project was adorable. So noticing a sort of trend of little insect carvings on your page too, Sarah.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know why. Bugs, they have a personality, and I think something that I've just discovered is giving that personality to little bugs, because I think most of my life I thought bugs were gross, and then I had a kiddo, and so bugs took on kind of a personality, and so it's been fun. Like I did a bee, and that one was really fun, super popular, and the little ladybug. So, and I think I've been told at least a dozen times a day to do a praying mantis, because I love praying mantis, and so I'm trying to figure out
a Bug's Life, Sarah.
Yeah,
I mean, no,
I'll go in my fairy garden.
But that's the movie, A Bug's Life. I think it had all those characters. Yep.
That's funny. Is there a praying mantis, or is it a giant cricket?
No, I think there's a praying mantis, but I think the praying mantis is the evil one, but I don't recall.
Interesting. I'll have to go watch it again. I haven't seen it in several years, but yeah, I'm trying to plan out how I could do a praying mantis without swearing too much. We'll see.
You could rewrite the narrative. You could make the praying mantis good.
It's gonna have to be, because I think I'm on a theme of cute, happy bugs. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know.
Okay. What is ever? Oh, I have a question, just a general question for everybody. I don't know if that's feasible, but what sorts of projects are you working on right now? What's bringing you joy in this time?
So currently for me, I'm working on a carved name tag. So that's something that I was challenged to do. And so I did, I'm a caricature carver by nature. So I had to I wanted to do a caricature of myself and then do the design work behind that to create the name tag itself. So something that I'm working on to kind of expand and have a good time with it right now.
Awesome.
For me personally, for me, I've only been carving for a couple of weeks. So I just started, my initiation into carving was avocado stones.
Really?
I was eating a lot of avocado. I went on a diet and lost loads of weight, and I was eating lots of avocado. And I figured, what can I do with all these stones? Because I'm just collecting them. There must be something. And I'd Googled what to do with them, and I'd found a web page where someone was carving pendants and then just letting them dry out and selling them online. That's what kind of got me, okay, I've got to get some knives now and try whittling this out. So they're not very good because I've just started out. I'm trying to get my technique right, but just little hearts, things like that, out of avocado stones.
Oh, cool. How do you finish them generally?
I haven't finished yet, because with these stone, like I've literally got several here sitting right here. So you let it dry out, you peel off this outer paper there. So you get the stone, break it in half, and then carve it however you want. Then all you do is just leave it out for a week or two, and it literally turns like wood. Like you can bang it against something, it's rock hard. So I'm not sure, I'm no professional. As I say, I've only been carving a couple of weeks, and the avocado stone was the first thing I grabbed. But it does seem to be sturdy enough. Like you probably would really struggle to whittle it with knives once it had dried out. It goes solid. So it's kind of like that time thing. You've got to carve it while it's soft and then let it solidify.
Interesting.
I've been working on trying to figure out how to do my own rough out stuff, like different styles. So I've actually purchased a few people's rough outs, and then I've been trying to turn my own rough out stuff in different ways, just try to see how the different experiences are with it, just to learn something new and new ways to carve.
Awesome. So do you generally, do you use a bandsaw for that?
For some of it, yes. Well, I mean, the general block is going to start with bandsaw anyway. But I've been experimenting with chisels, experimenting with trying to draw stuff out, and then finding the most effective way to minimize the material the way I want it to go. Actually started gluing together several blocks of wood to try to see how the glue joints actually feel when you're whittling those, if they're different than regular wood grain, and trying to do some of those things, just experiment with the wood and see how it feels.
Lovely. That's awesome.
It's fun.
I'm actually in an odd situation. I'm in a 14-day quarantine because I came back to New Zealand. So I'm sitting in a hotel right now, which the government has put up for us. So I have been carving lots of pendants. How can I hold these up to the camera? I can tilt this. Lots of these.
Oh, nice.
Those are cool.
And this little guy out of maple.
Oh my word. That's adorable.
I carved one out of basswood previously, but I thought maple would hold the detail a bit better. What I'm worried about though is I don't have any of my sharpening stones with me. I've only got a strop, and I'm probably going to blunt all my tools because I've got 2 weeks. And then started on this one, which is going to be another Pokemon one. What else have I been doing? Yeah, I'm really bored, if you can't tell. And this little robot guy I started last night. Got a little backpack. Yeah, I don't know.
So what kind of wood is that?
That's cherry, actually.
That's cherry.
Yeah, started from one of these little blocks.
So where were you sourcing? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Where am I sourcing wood?
Where were you sourcing it when you were in the U.S.? I mean, did you go to lumber yards or what?
Yeah, I used to go to the lumber yards and just get like a half foot or a foot of cherry and butternut and maple and blocks of basswood. But I would generally just get offcuts from mates. So I got a lot of cherry and walnut and maple from that that's mostly why I carve hardwoods, is because that's how I got those woods. Basswood, I generally have to go to an actual lumber yard and pick it up from there. But a lot of my hardwoods, I could just, go, hey, have you got some spare? And they go, here, have more than you can actually take. So it was never hard for me to find wood. I was in Toronto, so plenty of people had it lying around.
That's a happy problem to have.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem now that I'm in New Zealand. I'm actually going to be struggling to find wood, and I wasn't able to bring much into the country. I was actually lucky to get it in. We have pretty tight biosecurity laws. The guy at the border said, "Oh, what wood have you got?" And I said, "They're all about this big." And he says, "Oh, you'd be right."
Well, I wish you the best with all that. With the moving there and moving back. Yeah.
Yes. 7 days to go, halfway through the quarantine, and then I can taste freedom again.
Hi, Kelly. Sorry, another question. Because as I said, I've only been carving Whittling a little while, so I only have the last 2 issues of the magazine. I was wondering, have you got anything in any of the back issues that would recommend the best books, like reviewing books on carving and whittling?
Reviewing books?
Yeah, so I could have a look and see sort of what books are highly recommended for the beginner, and so instead of reviewing actual carvings, reviewing books or DVDs or something like that.
Yeah, so in most issues you'll find, and I can't speak to the particular issues because it really varies per issue. We try to include a bookshelf. It's one of our departments. In the bookshelf, we'll usually have like a couple, 1 to 2 paragraph reviews on the new wood carving books that have just come out that we know about. Sometimes they're Fox Chapel Publishing, and sometimes they're not. So. Yeah, I know we have a back issue deal going on right now. You can get like seven or more issues for $2 each. So definitely check out the back issues. But Fox Chapel Publishing itself is always cranking out really high quality wood carving books. And we're working on a few more right now that we're really excited about. Does that answer your question? If it doesn't, it's okay. Let me know.
Yeah, it does. I'm literally just going to the webpage now so I can have a look at the Fox Chapel Publishing to see what.
Yeah. There's a wood carving section there, and we have all sorts of things: carving cane toppers, carving, just doing green men, whittling, all sorts of things. You can even carve jewelry. There are a couple of jewelry carving books on there as well.
Hey, Kayleen. I've been working on the magnets. Good to put a.
Yeah. Hey.
But I'm also doing a dragonfly. Well.
Oh my gosh, lovely.
About 6 of them, because I'm gonna you're gonna break them. Black walnut.
So did you do like a compound cut sort of thing, and then you're gonna carve them down, or how
on
is?
a bandsaw on this. So I'm gonna power carve. I've been working on my power carving lately. I've got a killer whale. I live on the coast on BC and Vancouver Island. So yeah, I've got a like realistic whale I'm working on. So just something to keep my hands busy as the dragonflies and the chickadees and all the other crap I do, right? So yeah, good seeing you. Thanks.
Yeah, good seeing you too.
So Kaylee, one of the things that I work on, and I do it everywhere. I do it in my work pickup truck at coffee break and lunch, is these little Santa ornaments, and they're just like a quick ornament. And they started actually from Doug's Tom Hines quick little Santa magnet thing. So it kind of evolved, and I do them everywhere, and they're just a quick little easy sort of ornament, and they're just 10 minutes, start to finish.
Oh, nice. Oh, can you hold it up again? Sorry.
This is what they've kind of evolved to, from just a simple sort of grumpy Santa looking little ornament sort of thing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love the teeth.
All right. Is there anybody else with questions, or anyone show Kaylee what they're working on?
Yeah, so Blake, I wanted to update. Last week I was trying to do a maple seed, and I want to report I failed miserably on that. It did not twirl like it should have.
You couldn't get it thin enough?
I could not get it thin enough, and I could not get the center of gravity where I think it needed to be to get it to twirl properly. So I'm going to have to try again.
Kaylee, just so you know, he was working on one of those little maple keys that falls from a maple tree, and you know how they
fly like nice, yeah.
It was one of those.
Yes, it's tricky. But I'm going to give it another try.
Good. Keep up the good work.
All right, well, we're at about an hour. So this is where we generally tend to shut it down. So if there's any last questions, is there anyone out there that wants a question?
I'd like to share what I'm working on.
Yeah, please do.
I have these, so this one's a flat, but it's like a little raven head. And then this one is like full round. Sorry, my lighting is pretty bad here.
Oh, lovely. Is it walnut?
Yeah.
What is that?
So black walnut.
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I know we've talked over email before, but it's good to talk face to face.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you.
All right. Well, that being an hour, thank you, Kaylee, for coming on and answering all our questions and telling us all about how the process for the magazine. Much appreciated. Larry, thank you for the recording. And next week we have Dale coming on to talk about spools. And yeah, hope to see everyone next week.
Thanks, guys. It was good to chat today. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kaylee. Cheers.
Thank you for talking to us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.